Welcome to the Build Better Blueprint, the podcast where we discuss the foundations of real estate, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. Join Christian Cardamone as he shares insights, strategies, and stories that will empower you to level up your business, your lifestyle, and your impact. Let's build a better blueprint for success, starting now.
Hey, this is Christian Cardamone. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Build Better Blueprint. Today, folks, I've got a real treat for you. I've got Mr. Kevin Brenner with us. There's a lot to discuss today. We're going to go with the AI route. This might be a little different of a departure from some of our other episodes because this is a topic that really intrigues me. It's kind of the future of our industry and just about every industry, like it or not. So we wanted to bring in an expert to talk to us about this today. So Kevin is a trailblazer at the intersection of real estate and AI, transforming complex challenges into seamless revenue-driving solutions. From briefing Pentagon generals on global weather patterns to hosting the #1 military real estate investing podcast and revolutionizing sales funnels with conversational AI, his mission remains clear: create opportunities, solve problems, and inspire action. Kevin is the founder of Propertybots.AI. Also in the past has worked active duty passive income, and not to mention he's also a major in the United States Air Force. So thank you for your service, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kevin Brenner.
I appreciate it, Christian. Any way I can help, it's awesome, man. And I think talking about AI, it's so weird, because my bio, like you think about that, and it's just been like all over the place. And if you asked me personally 2 years ago that I'd have an AI software development company, I'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, well,
Cool.
life comes at you fast, dude. And they say like the most successful species and basically through history, everything, the most adaptable are the ones who are the strongest and last the longest and the most successful in every facet. So the fact that you just a couple of years ago, yeah, you were in like a different lane. Tell us about kind of your origin story, where you started from the military to like real estate and then into AI, dude, is like quite a path. So let's tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got there.
Yeah. My military stuff, I went to school, University of Miami in Florida. Go Canes if you're a UM, if you get it. I did ROTC down there. Always wanted to serve and wanted to fly initially, and keep that story short. Didn't make it medically, to fly, and that's fine. And I ended up pursuing a meteorology degree. So I was a meteorologist in the Air Force. I did that for about 9.5-ish years, and still a reservist. And as you read, my last gig was at the Pentagon, where I was kind of really the top meteorologist. I briefed all the top brass on global weather kind of stuff. But kind of before that, back in 2018, I started investing in real estate, and I leveraged my VA home loan to buy a quadplex. And then I said, wow, this thing's cash flowing. This is pretty cool. So I bought another one. And then I got moved up to the Pentagon because I was in Savannah, Georgia. So I was buying real estate. I was renovating them remotely, which was fun. And then when I got to DC, I was like, dang, this real estate's crazy up here. Like nothing cash flows. It's just a different market than Georgia. So I started getting to short-term rentals. So I built a short-term rental portfolio up there, and, because it cash flowed a lot more, and just kind of, like you said, just adapting, just hooking and jabbing and kind of making that my thing, still serving, still active duty. And then of course, working and helping build the ADPI brand, active duty passive income, which was an incredible opportunity to really build a company up from nothing, a digital education company. And I had my hand in a lot with that, from creating the educational content to doing the marketing to, I kind of running the podcast, like you alluded to. I had the opportunity to interview Brandon Turner and Robert Kiyosaki and Grant Cardone and all of these, Ryan Serhant, like all of these big names that I would never have the opportunity to meet. So that was really cool. My wife and I, we decided, okay, DC is not really for us anymore. Got out of the military, and we decided to go travel Europe for a bit. And we came back about 8 months ago, landed in Charlotte, North Carolina, and said, you know what? It's pretty sweet here. And so we just stayed here, and we love it. Started flipping houses down here, and kind of along the way, when I was doing kind of the VP of sales and director of marketing for the digital education company, I was building AI solutions, and I was kind of playing around with chatbots, and I had done a lot of marketing before in the past, just learning and playing and experimenting. And well, when I started flipping houses in Charlotte, I was like, hey, what if I built like an AI chatbot to help qualify these leads that I keep getting from, like, PPL, so pay per lead sources, pay per click, like all these leads that were coming into the flipping business. Like people want to sell their homes. And yeah, I built one and it started working. It started booking appointments on my calendar. I'd go meet the sellers, get them a contract, get things under contract. And call it being naive. I just assumed, Christian, that like everyone in flipping was doing this. I was just like, yeah, everyone's using AI. So then I was going to these like meetups, like you go to these real estate meetups and you shake hands and stuff. Oh, what are you working on? And I was just saying, yeah, I got my AI bot going on this. And they would like hard stop. They'd be like, wait, you did what? You have an AI chat bot that talks to leads? And I was like, yeah, you guys aren't doing that? Yeah, that's what I was like, you guys don't all have that? So that was like, ding, 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 this is an opportunity. And that was like as recent as like September of last year. So I was like, I kind of sat on it for a while and I was like, that's a thing, And then I went to Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny. Love Tony. And it was my first big Tony event. And I was like, just floored by the whole experience. Well, during that, if you've ever done a Date with Destiny, it kind of just like kicks you in the pants. And it's like, okay, you need to take action and do this. So I was like, during the event, I'm literally coding my website. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. Like in
real-time
between
inspiration.
Real-time inspiration. And yeah, it's been great ever since, man. I mean, we're a new company, but we have a ton of traction, a ton of new, since then we've brought on voice AI solutions and text AI and DM AI. But the reason, like the problem that we're solving is very niche. It's very, it's so important. It's speed to lead, really. And it's like, kind of the basis of Propertybots.AI, the company is kind of on Alex Hormozy. And Hormozy says, and he's right, because he has, he literally measured this data from all of the companies he acquired at acquisition.com. He says that if you can reduce your speed to lead to less than 60 seconds, your sales will go up 391%.
That's simple.
It's that simple. So how do you do that? That's the question. And for us, we're like, okay, well, let's leverage an AI solution, a custom AI solution, and let's niche down into something that I really know, which is wholesalers and flippers and real estate investors, because I get it. And then let's just go and create these and bring it to market. And I spoke at a conference in Dallas, and I mean, the next day, quit my job. I was like, let's go. Like, let's go. So now I'm just all in on AI. And the more I kind of like, I stay in this space, and the more I understand, our clients and what they need, it's really remarkable to me, specifically in real estate. Like technology adoption is very, very slow, very slow. And even for me to come in and just say like, hey, we had a client, anecdote here, a lead calls in to my client out in Sacramento. Lead calls in at 12:35 a.m. past midnight. No one's picking up that phone, like the office is closed. No one's picking up the phone. Voice AI picks up the phone, has the full conversation with the guy. He's an older gentleman, full conversation, books the appointment, the property assessment the next day. Client closes the contract. That's worth $30,000 to him. Literally that $30,000 would not be there had AI not been involved. So like, that's how powerful this stuff is. And it just kind of shocks me how like little people get it. I digress. I'll let you ask questions. I can nerd out on this stuff all day, man.
It's cool, man. I can like the way that just you're carrying yourself and talking about it, you went from like, Air Force, like weatherman to like real estate investor. And then you just like light up when you start talking about this stuff on a whole nother level. So I can see how this is really like you're passionate about it. And you're right, though. It's crazy. I was listening to a podcast earlier today. I think it was Cody Sanchez, her latest one. She has an AI guy on there. He said like there's so much out there. It's already out there. It's just adoption. So folks don't really, it's not like they haven't driven enough awareness about it, and it hasn't been fully utilized and adopted. But the folks that are doing it, dude, are like head and shoulders above the rest with performance. It's like they're dominating. Like you said at your meetup, you're like, you have this freaking secret weapon. And you're like, I thought all you guys had these, but this is why you're doing the volume that you have. It probably, I can imagine if it was me, it would be like a slippery slope, because I was like, I could apply this to this, and this. So at a certain point, you probably have to put your blinders on when you know the lane that you've chosen to really become the expert and deliver the best product. But in my experience, the speed to lead is industry wide across everything in commerce. So even like as a real estate agent, when folks buy leads, if you don't answer the phone, then it just gets routed to the next guy who paid a little bit less than you. And then and no one answers their freaking phone anymore anyway. So it's crazy now that we have to introduce a computer to make us talk to each other again as the catalyst, right?
Pretty much.
It's nuts, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is. So I'm curious, like you had a trajectory with the Air Force that's laid out in front of you. When you working with the other passive income group, you were part of that team. Now you're the founder. So tell me, like, you have already found success. You're standing on your own. You're in front of folks. What's your kind of blueprint to move forward to introduce this to hopefully get that adoption and market share?
Yeah, yeah. And man, I love this question. So, every entrepreneur will tell you that every business is built off of, failures in the past. And what I didn't mention in my past was that, yeah, I had a private equity firm that I started that failed miserably. I had another reggae fund that I started that went down in flames. Like, there's so many different things, but each one of these iterations you learn, oh, okay, this is important, this is important, this is important. And the big lesson I learned that I apply, from one of those failures is both product market fit. So making sure that the product that you have has a direct correlation and there is a need from the client that you're courting, right? And that was something that, mild tangent here, like one of those private equity firms that I started was about, I was targeting realtors, and I was trying to raise capital from realtors to take the money. This is back in like 21, 22, when realtors were making like a ton of money, like they were just flush with cash. I was like, hey, why don't you, instead of paying a buttload in taxes, why don't you invest through this fund? And we were investing in multifamily and syndications and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
When those were good. And I was, in my head, I was like, man, this is such a slam dunk. No one is going after this avatar. Why? Like, I'm the greatest. I was stroking my own ego. I'm the greatest guy. Like, I thought of this. And what I learned after that business failed was the biggest lesson was, just because you don't see something happening doesn't mean it hasn't been tried in the past.
I'm
And
following you.
yeah.
Yep.
And so, like, to me, I had started this business and I thought the product market fit was genius. I was like, yes, Kevin, you're just going to post some ads on social media. Realtors are going to come running. They need a tax break. You have a tax break. Let's go. And I learned very quickly that realtors, they're focused, they're salespeople, right? They're living commission to commission. They don't understand, a lot of them, how
Yeah.
to build wealth. So, like, they
Ironic.
understand. Yeah, exactly. They understand how to get rich. They don't understand how to build wealth. So a lot of that role became educating, and, confused mind says no, and blah, blah, all this stuff. So long story short with that, the big lesson was you got to have a really, really good product market fit. So fast forward to answering your question on what I'm doing with Property Bots, it's about really, like, going inch wide, mile deep into your niche and solving their specific problem. And what I learned is, like, if you're going to set up don't start a business to make money. Start a business to solve a problem. The money will come. The more valuable the problem you solve, the more money that will come. But start a business to solve a problem. And that's exactly what we're doing. Where the problem we're solving is speed to lead and front end sales funnel optimization. And that's going to it's already making our clients a ton of money. We ran the numbers for Q1. We made our clients $400,000.
I love that. Yeah. So you're tracking this, obviously, because that is your tangible result that you can showcase to look, just by closing this loophole, this gap of time right here, you're able to capture these deals. Like you said, the guy who was made 30 grand while he was sleeping, basically, because the AI bot connected the dots for him.
Yeah. And there was another case where another client was skiing. He was out skiing. He was in Utah. He was in at Snowbird. Yeah, and doing his thing. And yeah, bots closing deals for him, or at least setting appointments for him. He closed the deals. But, like, it's all about how business is a series of well-functioning systems, right? So what we're doing is we're building this tool to really just inject into any front-end sales funnel that can just go and answer when you're not there, and do it in a way that's dynamic, that's conversational. So it's not like, like people are just using like automated text messages that like say the same thing over and over again. It's changes based on what what they want. So it's just wild technology. And at the end of the day, like you said earlier, AI, there's so many AI tools out there. It's adoption, and it's application.
Yeah. And that's where that will be what separates, I think. And also just the way that it's received and the way people interact with it is going to be, I've had a couple of experiences interacting with folks with their bot, basically, and not realizing I'm into their sales funnel already, just engaging with them in direct message. And then suddenly it's like I joined one of the coaching communities, and then it's like in Scooby-Doo, where he pulls off the mask and it's like, you were in my chat AI bot, and that's how we got you in this program. And then they want to teach it. And it's like, this is amazing, though, because it's so, when done properly, I think, with the right, like, nuance in the industry, reaching out to the folks and appealing to them. And like you said, being able to change the conversation according to what is coming out of each other's, like, thought. That's really where I think you're going to have like a really high end product.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I think so. This like obviously those were like big setbacks that you had
Mm-hmm.
in the past, and now you're on to this next endeavor. Was that the biggest takeaway from those, you think, is figuring out that you need to go an inch wide and a mile deep, figuring out your avatar and connecting those dots?
Yeah, I think it's inch wide, mile deep. It's product market fit, and then it's all in. My theme for this year is all in.
Mhm.
And it sounds like an obvious cliche, like, you can't spread yourself too thin. You can't do multiple things and expect like it's absolutely true. Like at the end of the day, we all have the same 24 hours. So, I had to make the decision to go and say, hey, this is what I'm really passionate about. There is a huge need in the market. The timing is right. So let's just go all in and see where this ride takes us.
Dude, that's it. Well, that means that there's no stopping you. So let's do this. Let's talk through an example. I'm in commercial property management with my company, Aloha Wilmington Commercial Real Estate. And also I'm a commercial and residential real estate broker here, not far from you in Wilmington, North Carolina. So if I'm looking at this property bots, and your website's amazing, dude. And we were talking offline, I already interacted with it and was like, holy shit, I got to talk to Kevin. So tell us like who your avatar is right now, and if we're speaking to them on this audience, how they can find value in this product and why they need to be talking to you or your team and how it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, I mean so I'll be honest, like for this to really work, you have to have your inbound, you have to have your marketing, your system set up. All of our clients right now, they're running, $2 million plus businesses, and they're spending, one guy's, I mean, they spend 200 grand a month on marketing, right? They're big wholesalers and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that, but what I do say is like for this AI to really get, the juice out of it, if you will, you want to be at least getting 40 inbound leads per month. In whatever that is. So if you're a real estate agent or whatever, because if you're not feeding it leads, it's not, a lot of people come and say, oh, Kevin, can your property bots do lead generation? Can I feed it this list of, foreclosures, and you just call them and all this stuff? And I said, no, that's wildly illegal. Like you cannot do that. So a lot of people don't quite understand that, especially in, a lot of our clients are land flippers and wholesalers and stuff like that. So where we really shine is that optimizing once the lead comes in, whether they're coming in from a PPC, so that's pay per click, whether they're coming in from a PPL pay per lead, or they're a TV ad and they call in, or a radio ad, or whatever you got going on. And most of these bigger wholesalers and companies, real estate investing companies, they have, kind of diversified in their marketing. So whether it's direct mail, they call in, text, that's where this system comes in, handles all of that stuff, and then pushes and dynamically books appointments on your closer's calendar, so your closer can go out to the property, take a look at it, and make it happen. Now, in your specific case, Christian, you were talking about, kind of property management. That's a whole nother angle, which I love, because the name of the game for property management, your business is built on retention of tenants, right? Really, really important, right? If you're, if your vacancy goes up, you're not able to collect those fees, and you'll probably get fired anyway, unless you're owning the property. But imagine having a system. So like right now, there's tons of software out there that does, like, for commercial real estate and apartment complexes and stuff, like to put tickets in, essentially, to maintenance requests, right?
Yeah, totally.
And what happens right now? Right now, the system is like, oh yeah, thank you for your from the tenant perspective. What happens? They go into an app, they fill out a thing, and then it goes and takes them to a landing page or whatever, or that maybe they get an automatic email that's like, your thing has been submitted, and like that's usually where it ends.
Good luck.
Good luck. Godspeed. Imagine having a conversational AI. Imagine being able to go and it's like, hey, you need to submit a maintenance request. Don't fill out this form. Just text us. Boom. They text, conversational AI, answer and say, hey, what's going on? Text, hey, can you send photos of it? Oh, great. They send a photo of the leaky sink or something like that. And the AI is able to read that photo, understand that they need to get their plumber or whoever manages the plumbing, and says, oh, okay, cool. We got you. Let me pull up the plumber's calendar to see when he has availability, or the maintenance guy's calendar. And it could be a round robin, or it could be a specific guy I can route them to. And it goes and says, hey, Joe, the plumber is available to come out at 2 p.m. tomorrow, or 2 p.m. today. Is it cool if we get that booked? And then instead of telling your tenant, hey, yeah, someone's going to be there between like the hours of 12 and 12. Or, you can literally say, hey, I have an appointment booked at 2 p.m. The guy's going to come to my door. Not only does Joe the plumber know where he needs to be and everything, because he's getting a full AI summary of the entire conversation emailed to him, plus it goes on his calendar, on his phone. He knows exactly what unit he's got to be in, all that stuff to handle the call. But also the tenant is getting like a huge, warm and fuzzy to go and say, hey, this guy's actually going to show up. I have an appointment booked. Look, it's on my phone. That's the power of conversational AI with property management, and it's getting there. And then, it's something that we can definitely do.
Yeah. So is that a service then that like your AI right now, can it actually like troubleshoot, or is it, that's crazy to me.
Yeah. So like, and just, just kind of more about like property, but everything that we do is custom. So like we are a done for you thing. Like everything we do is we're going to customize it based on your CRM and all of that stuff, and and integrate everything together, because the big limitation right now is not what AI can do, it's how can it connect to your different platforms, right? At the end of the day, AI right now is a bolt on to whatever CRM you have or whatever, anything you got going on. But the magic is how we get these things to connect to each other so that it's able to share the information with the end client. And that's why everything we do is done for you. And it's, it's like we can turn it on and off like a light switch. Like, you want to use it on, you don't want to use it, great.
That's amazing. So in my instance, then if I'm generating at least 40 to 50 inbound leads per month, whether if it's I'm buying them from Zillow or Realtor.com, or a combination of that, and then my mailers that we farm certain neighborhoods, and then these come in, then they get a custom QR code or custom phone number, and then that first interaction is with the bot that you guys create custom for us, and then that potentially sets an appointment, or
it's going to do all the lead qualification. So everything custom would be like, hey, Christian, what questions you want to ask these potential home buyers? Or, if you're, I don't know if you're trying to get listing appointments, you're trying to get whichever side you're trying to get, right? You can, if I were, just speaking frankly here, I would build a bot that determines what they want and then goes down that path with specific qualifying questions, like, hey, what can I help you with? And then it says, oh, I want to list my house. Okay, great. Blah, 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 blah. Like, ask these questions. Think about, I guess the thing for your audience to think about is like, it works. So AI is only as powerful as the data that sits over top of it. So when we talk AI and your audience is out there, they're thinking like, oh, ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, and those are large language models. Those are like the processors they're like the brains, right? And they have a lot of education. It's like your friend who's read 200 million books and has a photographic memory. Like that's what the large language model is. The data that sits over top is what we like to call the knowledge base. So that's the stuff that says like, tell me about Christian's business specifically. So when a client or when a lead, who wants to sell their house says, how does this process work? And then it custom pools the data. It goes up and thinks and says, oh yeah, I know this because Christian uploaded all of this information into my knowledge base that said, this is exactly how Christian does business. And it regurgitates that and spits it out to them. So that's the data that sits over top. That's really, really important. But like, I think having like, in that specific case, having the AI be able to recall that information, and then, like you said, exactly, it would set a listing appointment or an initial, I don't know, I'm not a realtor. So it would set something, it would set an appointment, but qualify that lead. And I mean, the use cases they're really endless. And like I said, everything we do is we customize it based on what you want and how you want it to interact. But the one thing that I recommend, like if you're getting these inbound leads, hit them with the 1-2 punch. Hit them with the voice and the text, because sometimes people like to talk on the phone. Sometimes they want to text. It just depends. But having the automatic follow-up is also really, really valuable.
Yeah. Well, follow-up is, again,
it's sales. Follow-up is sales.
Of course, that's the number one kind of basis for all of this. Without that, it's all just into the wind. But how has your success rate been, or like your response or reaction to the voice element of this? Because it sounds like creepy. We're talking to someone about AI sales, chatbots. Are you talking to a robot? Is it like come at the appointment,
processing? Yeah, no.
Or is it like some like smooth, sexy, like British lady, or how does that work? Obviously, you can probably program it, right?
Well, now I know Christian wants the British accent. I got that down. Okay. All right. I'm taking notes here.
Oh, interesting.
But No. So it is very, very powerful. And the technology is getting better every single day. So something that I advise clients just right from the rip or right from the start is we don't try to trick leads. Every call, every client that we work with, for their voice AI, it'll say something like, "Hey, this is Alex from XYZ company. I'm an AI voice assistant with, and I'm here to help you do whatever." Like, we tell them it's an AI voice assistant. And the response, we're actually getting a better response that way, because a lot of people just like, they want to play around with it. They want to test it out. And they're giving the information. They're just like, and then they're like, "Okay, cool. Like, I'll do this." And they go through and do it. There was a study that was done, and to be fair, this is a bias study. It's coming from like the AI, a voice AI company, right? But they came out and they said a couple months ago, they said they ran a big study, and they said people over 50 years old can't tell the difference on a voice AI. People 30 to 50 can tell a difference. Some might be upset. Some might be, okay, let's run with it. Here's the cool one. People under 30 don't care.
Totally.
And that's where we're going, right? Depending on your business, if you're getting first time home buyers and they're in their 30s, they don't care. Like, they just want to talk to someone. They don't. They just want to get whatever they're there to get, so they can move on with their life. So that was kind of interesting. But yeah, no, it's not robotic. It's very human like. I can control the emotion, the tone, the voice temperature, the volume, obviously, and everything's custom to what clients want.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. It's funny, but out of all those three options that you said, based on like they can't tell a difference or they just don't care or whatever, like none of them, it was still like adopted on some level. It wasn't like they were just angry and hung up. Or think of like our generation, mine, kind of, we're used to actually talking to like a robot of a robot phone system where you're just screaming representative
Yeah,
or,
exactly.
or you're like pushing 0 or 9 until you have like a freaking fit. This is like open arms is welcome. I think people,
Yeah.
like you said, it's exciting, it's new, it's different. And even if you're just like, oh, I'm interested in learning more about this system, fuck you. See, and just
Yeah.
see what it does. Just give it a little 1-2. Just try
Exactly.
it, keep it
Yeah,
on
yeah.
its toes.
You could say you can do that. It's probably not going to be too happy about it, but
Yeah.
you know, and the other thing too is, like I said, we have that 1-2 punch. So the way our system works is, lead comes in, right? Boom, they get called. If they don't pick up the phone within 10 seconds, it calls them back. Boom, they get called again. And then from there, if they answer the phone and they start having these conversations, let's say they answer some of the questions. They answer some of your qualifying questions, and then they're like, you know what, screw this. I'm not talking to this thing anymore. They hang up the phone. Well, then right after that, within a minute, it does a bot to bot transfer. It hands off that information to the text bot, and the text bot will come and say, "Hey, this is Chris from so-and-so business. I heard you were just talking to my teammate, Hannah. We have a couple more questions to answer before we can get your cash offer on your home or XYZ, whatever the thing is."
Yeah.
And then they just text the rest of the information. And if they don't respond, it puts them into a 14 touch point follow-up series. And the moment they do respond, it resets that follow-up series. So I've had leads, and I can measure it, but another kind of just, I guess, testimonial here is one of my clients had a lead. It was a text lead, right? So the text bot was reaching out, and I think the conversation started at like 9:30 in the morning and ended at like 1:15 with an appointment booked that turned into a contract. But that was 9:30 to 1:15. I mean, that's like a couple hours of someone's life where you're just like going back. And then the crazy thing is too, the moment they respond, not the moment, because I like put delays in to not make it look like crazy, but they respond via text within 18 seconds, they're getting a text back. Like, what if you're away from your phone and you're a human and you got other things going on? They respond, you don't respond for an hour later, then they don't respond for like 3 hours later. And then, you want to capture people's attention when they're thinking about whatever it is they're thinking about.
Yeah. Attention is the currency. Always. But I think it's cool though. It's a cool demonstration, that example though, of something where it's like it started in the morning and then maybe, hey, that person's day got away from them.
Sure.
But they were still like, if that was an agent that called them, they had a 5-minute conversation. The guy's like, I got to go drop off my kids. He still was able to, that could have ended right there. But he was able to kind of play this through the course of a couple hours in between whatever he was doing, and then ultimately netted the appointment at 1:00 in the afternoon. So that just shows you the diversity, I guess, of that product. It seems really
all
cool.
without the actual realtor, in this case, ever actually having to lift a finger. Because realtors make their money when they close, when they focus on the closes, not on the lead gen, not on the prospecting. That's all upfront work. So imagine having this tool help you out there. Something else that's really cool that our clients love is called the DBR bot. So that's a database reactivation property bot. And what that does is like, so let's say you have like 5,000 leads in your system. You've been doing this for like 5-6 years. You got 5,000 leads in your system and your CRM. And, you should be following up with them. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Like, it's 5,000 leads. Like, what are you going to do? So what you do is we hook up the DBR bot, and it goes and it'll say something like, if it's a wholesaler or something, or a realtor, I'll go with the realtor example. It'll say something, hey, it's Chris from XYZ brokerage. We talked a while ago about you selling your home. How'd the home sale process go? And it hits them with that, and then it puts them into a 14 touch point follow-up series over 4 days. And the moment they respond, the AI kicks off, and it gets all of the information, and it tries to book the appointment. These are leads that you've already paid for, and maybe the time just wasn't right for them to do whatever you wanted them to do. That's okay. Ultimately, what this DBR thing, we're seeing, if you have the standard KPI in the industry, I make it sound like it's been around forever, is 1 to 2%. We're seeing our clients get 3.5-4% on, and that's booking appointments. If you have 10,000 leads in your system, that's like 400 appointments.
Yeah, that's enough. That's
enough to feed you for a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it's so funny, man. In real estate as an agent, your database is like that cheesy thing, like your network and your network. Your database is everything in most businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And so most people don't realize they're sitting on a freaking pile of gold. They don't go back to the well. They collect, they put them in there. And, my database now, I think is like 14,000 people. I've been doing this 21 years.
Yeah.
So to go back and try and remonetize that with people, they're already warm too. They already know who I am. They already have heard my name before. It's just an untapped well, but this is a good way to do it without having to sit down, bang out 14,000 phone calls.
Yeah, exactly. And, the text typically works better on DBR because you call someone who's in a thing, they're not going to pick up, any of this. So that's where we hit them with the text versus the person who's coming inbound, filling out a form on your website, and then they get with a phone call like instantaneously. That's like, oh, they're going to pick up the phone. But yeah, it's crazy because, you're just able to remind folks. And, like worst case scenario, people like, they like reply stop and they get washed from your list. Okay, great. They didn't want to do business with you. That's great. Like there's no problem with that. That's, it's better. It's as, and this is just my marketer hat. Like as a marketer, you don't want to have a list of 100,000 leads. All you need is like 1,000 super high intent super fans.
Yeah.
Like that's what you want, so that's why like back in the day, like when you were like people were buying Instagram followers and all this stuff. And I was just laughing. I was like, oh my God, this is so silly.
Yeah. It's like the volume play doesn't really serve you at the end of the day beyond just being like some puffery, just because like you said, honestly, and there's value to just thinning out your database, something you need to feed and then maintain. And so give it haircuts from time to time and shave it. And like, that tool can utilize that for you. It sounds like as part of that process, as a byproduct.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. And it's doing it all for you in the background and having great conversations, and it's setting appointments. So you're able to focus on getting those clients closed and then closing their houses. And that's what it does.
Yeah. So who are the top 5 people that need to industry that need to learn about property bots?
Well, like I said, we're inch wide, mile deep. The majority of our clients right now are in the wholesaling, house flipping, land flipping, that kind of space. Real estate brokers, I haven't brought one on yet. I'm open to it. I just find between me and you and whoever's listening to this, real estate brokers, they tend to be a little bit, on the residential side, they tend to be a little bit slow to adopt technology. They tend to be kind of their own bottleneck in their business, which I get because they're sales and they want to be belly to belly and all of that. So I'm not particularly chasing those folks, but they come to me, I'm happy to talk to them about solutions. The wholesalers and house flippers are very data driven. So they're able to say, hey, if you can book me 100 appointments and I know I can close at 20%, I'm going to make X amount of dollars this year. And that's where they're at. So, but really it's in the property space. I mean, we just want to help people solve that speed to lead problem. So if you are a realtor or a broker, or you're running a team and you want to build a solution out for your team, that's something that we could totally talk about. It's just, you have to have the inbound leads. And as hard as this is to say, you have to have a little bit of trust. You have to understand that like a lot of people, they adopt this technology and they instantly want to like watch the bot do its thing, but then they want to like interject. And I tell them like, you can do that. But the moment that you text, the bot shuts off. I'm never going to have our AI talk over you or give opposite advice that you would, because then that's counterproductive, right? So I've had to tell a lot of clients, be like, hey, just test it out with a couple leads, monitor their conversations. We can make changes along the way, but you will learn very quickly that this thing is going to provide you, and it's going to be about as good as you are. And that some people find that a little insulting. They're like, nothing can be as good as me.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, let's just say
hold
this.
my beer,
Yeah, this is as good as you on your best day, like not after like 8 beers the night before or something like that. This is you when you're shining, when you're peaking.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you're out there and you're listening to this and you want to, give it a go, the easiest way is just go to propertybots.ai, click the little demo button like Christian you did. You can demo the text, you can demo the voice, just have fun with it. Whatever. And then of course it's going to try to get you to book an appointment with our team.
Yeah. And it's awesome too. And I'll say, we were talking offline. Like I said, I tried it out the other night. It was incredible,
I
man.
kind of want to go and look at your conversation.
Yeah, it was. I was doing it through my Google numbers, so because I didn't want my phone to explode. But it was like, it was tasteful, it was quick, it was pushing me to the appointment, but it was versatile. And so what my takeaway from that was, I need to generate some more inbound leads, because we've grown organically up to this point. But on the sales side of things, I think the agents that are producing, they do look at it as a numbers game versus just it is a belly to belly business, but also it is a numbers game. So you have to produce so many leads will turn into so many appointments, will turn into so many contracts, will turn into so many closings. So if you're dealing with that kind of business person who treats their brokerage business like a business, not just like, I'm an agent and I just live from deal to deal, that sounds like someone that could definitely benefit from this. Wholesaling, real estate, and flipping is it's so mainstream now. It's such a part of this industry. I just think it's awesome, dude. I think it's so exciting. And I know, we're running low on time, but I had a couple questions I want to ask you. Like, for the average bear, like what's like an easy way for someone to get into AI, to experiment with it? Or, obviously everyone knows Chat GPT, and in our industry, it's like, well, it can write remarks for MLS.
It could write my emails for me.
Yeah. Like what's a good way for someone to like dip their toe in the pool to get comfy with it? Cause this is like it or not, man, this is just the beginning, right?
Yeah. So one of my big influencers, or someone who's had a tremendous influence on my life, and particularly in this business, is Jeff Woods. And Jeff wrote a book called, it's back here, The AI Driven Leader. And this book, fantastic. And Christian and I are in the same mastermind, and he spoke at one of the events in Scottsdale, and that just lit a fire under me. That was kind of like pre-Tony Robbins. But anyway, in that book, and if you don't have that book, get that book. I'm making no money from any affiliation. Just get the damn book.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yeah.
I'll second that. That book is worth getting.
He talks a lot about, yes, you can use AI to write your emails and write your MLS, whatever. And that's cool. That'll save you time. My theory on AI is, yes, saving time is important. Time is our greatest commodity. How can you use AI to physically drive revenue and help you scale? You have to understand that AI, like I said earlier, these large language models, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whichever one that you want to use, Grok, it's like having a best friend who's read 200 million books, has a photographic memory and never forgets a thing, and can recall everything from those 200 million books instantly. And would I want to hang out with that guy in real life? Probably not. He'd probably be like a know-it-all. But would I want to, ask deep strategic questions about my business and how to grow, and not just have it do, menial tasks? Absolutely. So figuring out ways to use AI as a strategic partner, and I'll leave this one tidbit here. Like prompt engineering, it's really important to you got to show these large language models like what you actually want. Ask it to interview you. This is really helpful. In your prompt, let's say, give me a Christian, give me something that like a realtor would want to learn something strategy wise.
I mean, basically, maybe how to generate leads in a new market. If I just moved to a new city, best way to generate leads in business.
Okay, so that's your problem. You're a realtor. You just moved to a new market. You're like, dang, I don't know how to generate leads. How can I do that? This is what my prompt would look like. I would say something like, you are a top chief marketing officer, and real estate agent or broker who helps real estate agents generate leads. Like, you got to tell them who they are first. And then you go and say something like, I need help developing a lead generation strategy in this specific market, in market X. And what I want you to do, read the context below about me, about my experience, and about what, everything that I've done in the past. And I want you to interview me one question at a time to gather more context. And then I want you to provide me with non-obvious solutions that will help me generate more leads in this market. And then you go down to the next line and you do like all caps context. And then you enter. And then you start typing about yourself. I'm this, I'm a realtor, I've done this many deals, I'm moving from this market, I've done this, blah, 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 blah. You spit out everything about yourself and then just press enter. And it's going to read everything about you. If you have a website, put in the website, it'll scrape your website, it'll learn everything there is about you. And then it's going to start interviewing you and asking you questions, really thought-provoking questions, and answer them. And the results you're going to get are going to blow your mind. Like, I think business owners, I mean, honestly, they should be starting and ending their day with a large language model as normally like they would like with like a team sync. I block off 2 hours of my day every day for deep strategy. And most of the time I'm talking to Claude or talking to Chat GPT and just learning like, oh, okay, I should do this. I should do this. Chat GPT gave me the idea to hire college interns. I would have never thought of that. I'm in Charlotte. There's so many universities around here. So I had a call with one of the universities here and they were like, oh, AI? Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'd love to have our kids learn this. And I was like, sweet, free labor, let's go. But I never would have thought that,
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's just, it's helping just present more opportunities and see
Exactly.
a bigger picture and around corners. But that's a really good piece of advice that you said to kind of start or end or both your day as a business owner for some content and dig context about what it is you're trying to do, just to have like a team meeting like with yourself. Because if you have this like genius business partner in your computer, why would you not have a team meeting with that thing every day?
Have you ever seen The Founder, the movie The Founder with Ray Kroc, and it was about McDonald's and all that stuff?
Oh, with Michael Keaton?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So there was that one scene where I forget the actor's name, but he was in the same actor was in The Office, and he was like a younger kid, and he looks at Ray and he's like, "You're not in the restaurant business. You're in the real estate business." That guy was like ChatGPT of the 50s. Like he was like the guy to have that massive idea. Then Ray just took it over, right?
Yeah.
And now McDonald's is what McDonald's is. You get like, we live in the age right now. It's like ridiculous. We live in the age right now where this is literally accessible at our fingertips for like what, $20 a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. I say I used it for an exercise. Actually, while I was in Utah, I was doing that exercise where you kind of unearth your ikigai, where you go and try and find out about, what you bring to the world, where you find joy, your expertise, and like kind of what fills your cup. And I was like, what the holy shit, man. Like, I fed it a lot of information and it just pulled out this experience for me. And it was just a lot of clarity came from that exercise, just on a personal individual level. And so, yeah, it helps you realize or recognize maybe what you are on some level, depending on how much you subscribe to it, but it can provide a lot of value, and it's a deep rabbit hole. So just
yeah, and
buckle up.
For business owners, I know we're running short on time. I want to foot stomp like the most important thing. Like, if you figure out whether you want to talk to us at Property Bots and you want to talk about solutions, great, happy to have you. However you do it, if you figure out how to integrate AI into your business, you will be miles ahead of your competition. Like, studies are saying right now that full adoption into AI is going to take until at least 2030. That's 5 years of dominating your market. So you better do something about it. Because if you don't get it twisted, your competitors are doing it right now. Your competitors are calling me. So
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So that's it. That's the moral of the story, man. Just get to it. Like, time is money, and the clock is ticking, and it's later than you think. So
Sure.
Dude, it's really been awesome to chat with you today. It's been just a lot of great information. I love learning about you and Property Bots AI. Tell the folks kind of where they can find you, where they can follow you and your path in this journey. This company is going to be huge. I know it is. And tell them how they can find you and reach out.
Yeah. So again, it's just head over to www.propertybots.ai. You can test everything in there. There's there's an AI chat widget in the bottom right corner. You can test the text one, the voice one, whatever you want to do. And just we're on LinkedIn and we're posting on there and everything like that. But if you have a specific question, you just want to get in touch, run the demo, but just email me. It's Kevin@propertybots.ai, and I am an open book. Whether you want to work with us, you don't want to work with us, you just want to nerd out on AI. Like, I'm a go-giver at heart forward. Like, I know that the more you give, it comes back 100-fold. So just let me know, and I am happy to point you in the right direction, even if it's not our direction.
Yeah, that's great, man. Well, I can't thank you enough. That's really generous offer to our audience. Folks, you guys should listen up, pay attention to guys like Kevin who are going to be leading the charge on this, and reach out to him. And we want to thank you again for being here today. This has been the Build Better Blueprint. I'm Christian Cardamone. That's Mr. Kevin Brenner, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again.
See you guys.
Cheers.
That's it, folks. That's our show. Thanks as always for listening. If you enjoyed today's discussion, please leave us a 5-star rating and subscribe to our channel so you are up to date with the latest episodes. Feel free to share with your friends and keep up the great work. You are on the right path. See you at the top.